Hi, this is Farrell. Welcome to the video of issue 2, page 18 of ROBot TOD, the watercolor fantasy adventure comic that I've been working on for the past couple years. So I usually start these pages by doing like a little warm-up drawing and the thumbnails, like transferring the thumbnails from my sketchbook to a separate piece of paper. Then I tape off the piece of mixed media watercolor paper that I use. All the materials and everything are in the description if you're curious about all the different stuff that I use. But then I rule out the page, the panels, or it's been pretty much a 4-panel grid the whole issue. Every once in a while I'll do a splash page or do like mix it up with 2 panels, but it's basically based off that 4-panel grid there. And then I figure out what I want as far as the dialogue goes. I have it all written down in the notes app on my phone, but I'll transcribe it into my sketchbook and then usually rework it a lot on the page. This page I did a lot of adding stuff, subtracting stuff. The last page I added some poetry, so this page I had him referencing that in the first panel. And from there it's just, okay, I get the dialogue down in the placement where I want it, and then I just sort of go into the pencils based off the thumbnails that I do. I rarely just go straight to drawing. I normally will kind of work it out in a thumbnail stage beforehand, but I got the idea to do the little circles with the different faces in it as I was drawing the thumbnails, and then kind of figuring out what I wanted to go outside of them. And then I reworked the lettering a few times in the pencil form first, and then I go over it with a pen. You can see my cat, he likes to run across my artwork. I usually can catch him before he gets there. But then I use a little stencil to get those circles, to make the circles even. I usually loosely sketch in a circle, or if I have to do like some kind of geometric shape, I'll just sort of sketch it in, but then go back in with like a stencil to get it precise. And I freehand ink it, usually with one of these Faber Castell Pitt pens that you haven't seen in this video yet. But then there's the finished pencils pretty much ready to go. The first few stages took me maybe like I did like over 3 or 4 nights. I usually work on these after dinner, from like, you can see the clock there, it's usually from like 9 to 10 or 8:30 to 10. So yeah, you can see there I'm going over the lettering with one of those Faber-Castell Pitt pens, size F, and then I erase all the letters, erase all the pencils underneath the letters, and then I'm just kind of further refining some of the pencils before I go in with the inks. And this page, actually, I did it kind of a weird way, where instead of having all the pencils finished first, I finished the pencils to where I thought they were done, and I was like, okay, that'll look good. But then after I started watercoloring it, I felt like, this page really needs something. I wasn't sure what. So the second panel, which would normally be the third panel, but since I have 3 panels on this page, it's the second panel. I was thinking that was just going to be blank, like either no color or just a gray, gray from the ground. But then after it was done, I went ahead, and you'll see a little later, I added some more drawing to it. And I filled out the little landscape there in the first panel a little more too. But right now it's just a matter of me laying in color. I actually did a video of me working on this a little after this. I was trying to do like a live stream on Instagram, but the battery died on my phone, and the plug doesn't work so great, so I wasn't filming. I didn't realize. It was just kind of going for like an hour while I was like talking to nobody about myself, as I do sometimes. But so this page, it features Todd coming out of the water. He's walking across the landscape, and he's kind of thinking like where his friends are at. Like, oh, Fern's over here, Sep's over here, and I'll probably go get Sep first, but I want to stop and recharge right here. And this ghost wizard, the wizard that he blew up, is sneaking up behind him, and she sticks his hand through him. And that's like his big weakness, is getting zapped by ghosts. So that kind of is going to knock him out for like the next few pages. And I wanted these little characters to be like looking at him and talking about him while he's kind of unconscious there, sitting on the ground, or incapacitated rather. He's still conscious, but he just can't move. And I wasn't really thinking on this page that I would add them in yet. I was just kind of more thinking like, oh, just the main action of him getting hit. But once I saw it at this stage, I was like, that's not really done yet. I don't know. I felt like, first of all, that energy thing in the last panel wasn't quite right. So then I just got the idea of like, I'll just add black and ink these like little zappy lines, kind of coming in out of him. And then later I thought like, oh, I should have them also be kind of going in, going out from in to feel sort of like claustrophobic and like it's hurting him or something. Like it felt like it had more energy that way, or more, it was like a little more oppressive or something. So yeah, here you can see I'm actually just penciling over the watercolor that I laid in, or I'm adding these little vines and stuff, and these characters kind of hiding behind them, like watching the action happen. Like, oh, we see this guy coming out of the water, and what's going to happen? And I didn't really want them saying anything at this point. I'm not even sure if they're really going to be talking, but I thought it might be a neat image on the next page or two of them kind of peeking out behind those vines. So at first I was just kind of lightly penciled some of them in, and then was like, well, I should put these buildings in the background. And then I thought like, well, maybe I should add some orange in that second panel, since I'm kind of doing a sort of like a perspective drawing there. So I haven't added the orange yet there, but you can see I've started painting in and drawing in those little guys. And yeah, and then I also was like, well, if I put buildings in here, I kind of want to put them in the first panel too. So I added some more buildings in that first panel, and then just it was a matter of like sort of painting them in a little bit. I kind of like the way it looked just penciled rather than adding the paint, but I don't know, I just went ahead and decided like, oh, I might as well just try to get them to some degree of dimensionality by having some paint in there. And yeah, here I'm like pivoting the page because it was just easier to get those little zappy lines in on that last panel, inking those lines straight, because my hand was starting to wobble a lot as I did this. But yeah, I was also referencing, I'm not showing it here, but referencing the cover to issue 1, which has a lot of those like sort of pink flower vine things in them. And yeah, I was using that as sort of like my guide. That in the previous page, because there's a little bit of a landscape. And there you can see I'm adding the orange in, the cloud orange from the clouds. And yeah, these are just mostly watercolors. I'm using a little bit of gouache here and there, and a little bit of opaque white paint for certain things, especially like the ghost. And if I like make a mistake or something, like some color bleeds over, and I don't want to like spend a bunch of time trying to pick it up, I'll mix a little white with like gray or something, if, like for like the background or the landscape, since it's mostly gray ground. This is like in the far future after the Earth's been like destroyed and stuff. So all the landscapes, most of them are like the ground is gray, or these kind of unearthly colors like purple and orange and stuff. So that looks like it's really close to the finish there. I went ahead after this and added some more shadows around the bottom part. You can see in the left panel there that I added some more shadows around. It just didn't feel like it was kind of weighty enough. And there's the whole page, the top to bottom there. And that's the finish after I scanned it in and everything. I also want to tell you about this book, Monster Us. You've probably heard about it, but if you're new here, this is a book that Soph Franz and I made. Last year we did 31 drawings each. We did a collaborative cover, where she did the left half and I did the right half. And this is for sale now. We just got these books back from the printer. That's where these pictures are from. I just laid them out on the table and took some snapshots of them. The printing looks great, I think. The colors it's black and white mostly, except I have like a little blue. And there's a photograph from our show that we had of these at the beginning of the year. And it's coming out for this permanent damage show. So you can pick one up at the show, or we can mail one directly to you. Link is in the profile, or in the description there, rather. And we're also going to be at this Boise Comics Arts Festival at the end of next month. And this is the latest book I made, 2020, which you can get from Floating World Comics or any local comic shop. Same goes for all my books, just ask your local bookseller about them. Also, I have a Patreon if you want to support this Robot Todd comic. Thanks for watching. Bye.